Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What's up? It's your boy, Inner Black Dragon. I try not to be late with mine. Today's a special occasion because later on, after the broadcast, after the live broadcast, I'm gonna go check out the new Indiana Jones movie. Um, uh, I've been anticipating it, I call me nostalgic, but I do take my movie going pretty seriously, only because I'm a movie buff, right? I'm a movie fan. And um more to the point, as I adjust this microphone, um I miss the old school Indiana Jones movies in theaters. I didn't get to see The Last Crusade in theaters or Raiders of the Lost Ark or Temple of Doom or anything like that, right? Um, I remember when The Last Crusade came out on VHS, you can rent it or something like that. Oh man, we watched it was a family movie, right? Me, my sister, my mom, and we would watch it over and over and over again. It was a really good and funny movie. And well, not funny, but a really good movie. And ever since Kingdom of the Crystal Skull came out, I've been like just fanboying it out, right? I'm just like, hey, I'm gonna go see this new Indiana Jones movie, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, another adventure. So now this one is the Dial of Destiny. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it. Um, for me personally, I would say that if no matter how old Harrison Ford is or Sylvester Stallone is or John Claude Van Damme, I think that if you're alive and you're an A-list actor, especially that you were really big in the 80s and 90s, my generation coming up, I would say keep rocking it out in making more movies for us, me, the viewer and fans to see, right? Because I'm a big believer in doing what you're good at. I mean, I understand that movie making can be tiring and it could be something that you've done 1,000 times, but we still want to see it. I mean, I get tired of all the reboots and remakes and all this stuff, and I like original action heroes to stick to what they're good at and own their character, as it were. So if Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones, he's Indiana Jones. I don't like the idea of using some other actor who's never played the role, who doesn't know what the role is about, who's not quick witted or have his own one liners or anything like that. So I'm a big fan in seeing this movie. So I know I'm going to enjoy myself. But anyway, what am I saying? That's just me for tonight, and that's just my little side rant on what I'm going to be doing this evening. So, to dive into tonight's topic, well, it's tonight's topic. It's every topic, right? Every topic I got is going to be interracial relationships. So I am a fan of what happens across the pond, right? Meaning the Europe and the UK. And I'm a subscriber to King Riches and Just Pearly Things and all these type of channels, Auntie Jenny as well. Only because I like the content and the contributions they make in talking and dealing with relationships and um, and all of the dynamics, right? So I'll take what they got, add it to my knowledge set, and then kind of go from there from time to time. And I'm not a big contributor, but I contribute. I do my super chat thing. I write down, well, I just write what I think, and then I let I'm sitting there watching them discuss, whatever I wrote down. And as some of you know now, if you've been, watching, uh, any of my episodes, the one with my girlfriend's in it. She's 21, I'm 41, so it's a huge age gap by 2 decades, but who really cares? But it's always a nice topic to bring up in a conversation, whether it be here in the States or across the pond in the UK, just to see what they think about it. So the back and forth ensued. Some people thought it was too huge of an age gap. Some people thought it was just fine. Some people just, a lot of the women just said it depends, depends, it depends. Like why is he dating her or why is she dating him? And really, it's just, I mean, just a dynamic that just happens, right? I mean, I didn't go shopping for a 21-year-old. That's not how this works, right? She reached out. She slid into my proverbial DMs. Let me, asked me to go say hi. I say hi, and then we just, got it popping from there. So as I get into this for the hour that we are here, let me go ahead and update my Facebook posts real quick. I can post basically the link for anyone to kind of join up on the panel unless they want to say something, if they want to say something or if they want to contribute, or maybe if um, they had any questions. There's also the chat that's open. So um, it's all good. It's all gravy, baby. So I'd like to start with what's going on with me and the girlfriend. So me and the girlfriend are going great. Um, One of the only things is that like I don't think her parents really know, I guess, me yet. I haven't met them. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, sooner or later, they'll find out, or I'll introduce myself, see what's up, and see how they take it. They may take it with a grain of salt. They may take it with much needed scrutiny or something like that. But I mean, that's not really the important part now, is it? What's important is that we're kind of happy together. Um, we like doing things with one another. Um, we both enjoy each other's la 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 la. We both enjoy each other's time. When we spend time together, and we're not together 100% all the time. She lives in a different city than I do. So and come up and see me sometime. Sorry, I'm just updating my Facebook post. But I think the most important part is that the time that we do spend together and that we have together, we don't waste it, right? I like the fact that we watch a bunch of. I show her a bunch of '80s movies. I think I let you guys know this last time, and probably maybe the time before that. It doesn't matter if I sound repetitive um, or not. You all deserve to know what it is and what it ain't. Um, and subscribe. But what I would say is that um, yeah, everything's going great so far. There are other interracial relationships that I've been um, um, asking people about, right? So what I've been doing is a formal invitation. Come up and share your stories. So what I've been up to is that I've been posting on FetLife. I think I told you about that last time as well. Um, what I'll do there is I'll go ahead and post questions about interracial dating, and try and get feedback on it, right? Because you want as much feedback as humanly possible on these types of issues, because everyone has their own story to tell, and I think everyone deserves to tell it. So uh, let's see. Oh, I'm already logged in here. So what I'll do is just paste this up here. And boom. Okay, so now some people have I've asked, like, so I'm in different groups, right? And and within these different groups there are different types of women, and like for instance, I'm in a room called Asian Women Who Are Into Black Men. So I've asked the question, the reasons Asian women are into black men. Um, Now, I haven't gotten any responses on that yet, but I barely just updated that, like maybe not even a few hours ago. So I wouldn't expect to hear any feedback from now or right away. I also into Latina women who love black men. That's also a group that I'm a part of. So I went ahead and updated the reasons. I made a new post that said reasons Latina women are to black men, and of course white women. So I have white women, I have Latina women, and I have Asian women. So there's a lot of women that pretty much are into black men, and there are a bunch of different reasons. And I have some more updates for you that I'd like to read. Just dive into it because that's what we do here. So this is for a room or group that I'm a part of. I asked the same question. I think this is more white women are in black men. Excuse me. I'm not sure why I'm yawning, but I know it's contagious, so look away. Let me just dive right into it. So 2 days ago, I asked this question, and the person Beach Fun, not Beach Fun. I'm sorry, that was a guy. Pog Jess, PAWGGJESS. She says, to put it quite simply, skin contrast, size, stamina, and we just love the way that they fuck. So, I mean, those are several reasons actually, and it's not like you haven't heard before. So, so the next response is from Beautiful Dom 420, which is for me, I've always been attracted to black men. First, of course, dick size, but the beautiful chocolate skin. Most are more laid back and relaxed, always felt more protected as well. So that's a unique answer because I hear the protection thing, and there are some other reasons behind the protection thing. I'm not 100% sure, but I know that it's one of the major reasons, right? So I asked this of another adult site that I'm a part of. I'm a part of a bunch of them, but well, not a bunch, but one or two, three. Um, and I got some responses from there as well. So I shall read them now. Um, this is from a group called White Women Who Crave Black Men. And I wrote the same question. The reasons why women are into black men are, right? With a question mark, of course. So this is from, let me see, Polly Amazon. And she writes, I just find them more compatible lovers all around for myself. I have had black boyfriends for about as long as I've dated. It is not anything silly like being colorblind, but more of I celebrate men of all colors. I have had the rare BWC, big white cock, but black still holds the record for me in a few ways. Hee hee, which is something that women write. It's too cute. So I mean, for her, at least she took the time to kind of digest the actual question and then go ahead and respond how she responds. I am looking at this that I wrote 2 days ago, and there were 546 views. So apparently, this question kind of piqued some interest, which is pretty good. So from Spike's Gal, black men have soft skin, tend to be sexy as fuck, and you guys know how to fuck. So there's another answer that's kind of sexually based, but hey, I get it. We've heard this answer plenty of times, right? So let's see. There is another answer. Sexy pussy 1976. I got fucked by a BBC. Simple as that. After I first BBC, I was hooked. So as we have read a couple of answers, um The common theme seems to be, kind of more toward the sexual aspect, but um, I mean, it is what it is. Women have their preferences, right? But uh, you know, I mean, as we go through the dynamics of it, um, I mean, I know sex isn't the only thing because you heard a protection aspect, you heard a safety aspect, you've heard a relationship aspect, and then you have different women who've had different men, and then they want to do comparisons. And now we haven't yet come across like that answer just yet. I mean, we've come across several things such as um, Muslim men, like, right? You have Nigerian men or Muslim men that are straight out of Africa or African countries, and and there was that one answer where their family didn't approve of the relationship, and he had to move to, I think, a European country, and now he has a black wife with black kids, and she and the respondent was kind of um um felt some kind of way about it. Let's just put it like that, right? But there are some other reasons as well. So like it or hate it, you have to respect it only because it's not really our decision. It's up to women why they choose who they choose, and also there are um, I want to say, like, but we all have our preferences, yes, but there are um, limits to what we can or perceive as control, as far as who do you want to be with and why, right? So it's not a factor of what you're used to or what you've been raised to believe. It's also a factor of uh of what you're curious about, because people that you don't grow up around don't tend to um stray away from homogeneous relationships, right? And for the most part, the average is going to be, whites stay with whites and blacks stay with blacks, and Asians stay with Asians, things like that. It's still homogenous, and it's which is pretty much the norm. But when we're in the United States, we have all of these things that are kind of available to us. So it's kind of different in that perspective, right? So that's what we kind of deal with and reconcile when we're meeting people for the first time, um, or when we are in the courting phase or the dating phase or just sleeping around, whatever stage of relationship status that you're kind of in or exploring, right? And and none of it should be I'm gonna say none of it should be shamed or frowned upon, but it is. So, I mean, you have to reconcile with those kind of differences. You have to kind of get through all of the sociology of it, and you have to just keep it moving. But from what I understand, so someone asked me as a reply, I think, well, why are you into white women? So there are plenty of reasons for that as well. And I may have talked about this. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this. Talked about everything here. But I've talked about this like in previous videos about why my reasons why personally. And it's mostly because the opportunity to date, homogeneously for me has never presented itself in a serious manner, I'll say. I'll never say never, like it's never come across my table, but it's never been the woman that I've been like attracted to 100%. Um, that's never like the average, right? My average is there may be women who may want a shot or may want to even sleep with me or maybe even hang out, but there's something that kind of off puts, right? And it isn't their looks, but it's more the behavior model, right? The behavior model of any woman can be off putting. And I've met some pretty stuck up, women, from all different backgrounds. Some if you got a chip on your shoulder, it's just going to be unattractive, and you're just not going to really attract me at all. I mean, I'll go the other way or keep it moving, right? Just do me, handle my business, and just keep looking for a suitable partner to explore with or have fun with or things of that nature. So today I was actually uh talking, and I text with my girlfriend all the time. What's happening now is that um her hair, she's concerned about her hair. Her roots were coming in. She dyes her hair. That's women and hair dye. That's just a thing apparently. But she got her hair did. She's feeling all kind of cute. So, I'm here for it all day, all night, right? So there are a lot of other movies that I intend to show her in order to make her socially relevant, so that when we're having conversations and I'm doing one-liners or I'm quoting from movies, she knows what movies I'm talking about, and she can contribute to the conversation and know what we're talking about and not be lost and with a confused look on her face or anything like, what are we talking about? Like, no, I plan on having her catch up on a lot of 80s movies and 90s movies, if no other reason than to at least judge for herself whether or not they're good, right? She's Out of Control was a good 89, 90 movie. Um, Body Heat was an early 80s movie. I think that was William Hurt, Kathleen Turner, something like that. And I haven't seen that movie in decades either. So it was nice to kind of get this retro film critique of an old school movie in real time. Um, it was also Jewel of the Nile, which is another good Kathleen Turner, Michael Douglas movie. And then there was another one called War of the Roses. That was another Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner movie. I thought that movie was insane. A dysfunctional marriage, if I've ever saw one. So, um, what I would say is uh there are a lot of horror movies. I mean, women are not really into horror movies like that, but you got to watch them anyway. And I think that when you show old school horror movies, I think it's kind of more tolerable only because the graphics and the um um special effects, I think they were much better back then in the 80s and 90s than they are today. Um to some extent, only because the ideas were original, right? When you saw a werewolf transform like American Werewolf in London, that was really something that they had to work on. You had special effects doing makeup, special effects, animatronics. You had original ideas and concepts that have never been thought of or never could be performed before. If you take a look at 1950s horror and stuff like that, it's completely different. You have still motion, you have like a werewolf that, one flash, they have a little bit of hair, another flash, it's more hair, and then all of a sudden they're a werewolf now. Versus now where the transformation can be seen before your eyes, person just becoming a werewolf and then transforming back again. I do plan on showing her some Stephen King stuff, Sleepwalkers, Silver Bullet. Um, I'm gonna wait for it uh, for um, for later. I'm not sure how she feels about clowns. Nobody likes clowns. But there's Killer Clown from Outer Space. There is Toxic Avengers. There's a whole bunch of like old school movies. Swamp Thing. There's a whole bunch of old school superhero movies, super scary movies, action movies. Like there's a lot to be seen here. So I plan on, and I think this goes for any type of relationship that maybe it just as old school as mine or what have you. But I think a lot of like relationships that may have a big age gap dynamic, me being 40 something, her being 20 something, is catching them up on pop culture, whether it be old school music or old school movies. Because I'm sorry, I mean, it's like I look at her every time and shake my head, like, girl, you missed out. You just missed out. You missed out on all the best stuff, even ice cream and cereal. I remember Ninja Turtles having their own cereal back then, and that tasted good. But back to the main focus. There are um I mean, 2023, this being July, I mean, there's going to be a revelation about, how like interracial dating is going to become destigmatized, meaning you're going to see a lot more of it. You may see it in a lot more places. And as a matter of fact, in the United States, there might be. I mean, there's pockets, right? I mean, Austin's going to be one of those pockets. Maybe Houston. Certainly in California, there's interracial dating happening in some cities. Um, New York as well. New York being the mass hub of different cultures clashing together, kind of having relations with each other, marriages. You have a lot of Middle Eastern, more exotic cultures going to be in New York. Maybe not all over the place, but certainly here, there, and where you can easily find them. So that's just going to be happening, but it's happening in certain pockets of the United States. Other pockets can be homogenous. That's fine, but time catches up with all of us. And one thing that's consistent is that things change. So I mean, for the better or the worse, that's debatable and subject to time and everything. But but for the most part, I do think that these things are going to play themselves out naturally, only because if people are going to be curious about other cultures and they're going to want to step outside their comfort zone and explore other options. I mean, think about it. If you've been an homogenous dater all your life and all you know is your own culture, and you're seeing other people and you're seeing how they move and you're seeing their culture, you're seeing their language, you may want to learn from it. You may want to dip your toe in there and partake in some of the rituals or traditions that other people take. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I think it broadens your mind as to how people live their lives and what their ideas of marriage is, what their idea of good nutrition is, and what their ideas of what's acceptable and obtainable through the family dynamic, right? Especially children, child rearing, religion, um, history. You want to know the history of a religion of a people. So I think the more people learn about each other, which is gonna have to come through dating, and relationships is going to make us that much more closer as a unit. Number one, and number two, all of the trials and tribulations that society and your family and your friends put you through is going to actually test whether or not you're ready to step outside your comfort zone and start looking at other people um, in order to at least learn something. Like, right, you learn something about not only them but yourself. Sorry, that was me and my Canadian water. But me ranting and raving like a lunatic can get you dry mouthed. So here goes my sip. But anyway, I wonder. I mean, you have a lot of strife in the world. You have a lot of beef, right? You have a lot of Hatfields and McCoys, um, Palestinians versus Israelis. Now, these being warring neighbors over territory and land and whatever beef they got, one would have to imagine that people who migrate from these territories into America can finally kind of put the beef aside, um, because they can leave the war, they can leave all of the disputes in their home countries, come here and actually practice what religion they want to practice. And I would imagine that there are Palestinians marrying Israelis and vice versa to some extent, or dating, at least something. Because whenever two cultures are really taught to hate each other, there's always usually the children or grandchildren or great grandchildren that break that violent tradition, um, and cross pollinate only because they're not going to have the same hate and vitriol that your parents or grandparents have. They're just not going to have it. And yeah, maybe you can try and instill that to them. You can only try and pass on hate for so long before that dissipates and turns into something that you don't want, which is love. And love usually ends up in marriage and family and kids. And when you yourself are intolerant of interracial either dating, sex, or marriage, you tend to it tends to creep up on you pretty quick. It tends to be in your family whether you like it or not. I always think that those who are the most vehemently opposed to interracial dating or marriage are going to be the ones who have it in their family. And when the children and grandchildren come into the picture, all that hate starts to fall to the wayside. Because when you see a child born out of like love rather than um, um, dislike or whatever prejudice, like you tend to reprioritize and say, "This is your grandchild. Do you really? I mean, you may hate this other guy or this other girl who is of some tribe that you despise of, but in the end, do you really hate a grandchild that belongs to you and your family? Can you really hate your grandchild that's born out of two people who just pretty much love and get along with each other or married?" And I think the answer, like nine times out of ten, is no, right? Because the grandchild represents something that you always thought shouldn't be possible within your family. And so when you're met with this new life, when you're met with this grandchild, like how much can you really hate, really, right? I think that extent starts to fall away, like pieces just fall away, and it's all about the grandchild now. I think that's what happens when we all kind of age out of, you know, whatever back and forth or whatever beef we thought we or anger we thought we should hang on to as tribes. So, I mean, growing I mean, I can talk about myself growing up, but I've spent like a lot of hours going into my own background, things like that. And I've talked about, I believe, my ex-wife and where she's from, being a small town country girl out in the middle of nowhere, being raised by her parents and her grandparents, until she goes to college and then discovers, culture shock. There are more diverse people there. She learns from different people. Sooner or later, she stumbles down to me. We get into it, a relationship, and then a relationship comes a marriage, and in the marriage, we have a family, a daughter, and then from there, things fall by the wayside. We get a divorce. She leaves. So there's a whole bunch of things like personally that I've been able to express and share. But there are other stories too, as I just read. There are members of, different lifestyle communities that have been in that community for years that had different experiences. They have different preferences. They state why. They make no mistake about it. Whether it be the chocolate skin tone, whether it be the sexual prowess or energy that we have, um, whether it be the dick size. Again, I mean, you hear that a lot as well. Um, I don't want to say. I mean, I think when you read these responses back to back to back, it becomes prevalent that, you're seeing the same kind of psychology, right? And these aren't women who were just curious about it, dipped their toe in the water and dipped their toe out and said, okay, well, this is why and this isn't, and why not. I think they follow around the same pattern of, sex for the most part, right? So sex for the most part is the most primary avenue for which two people can establish a relationship. And if you're good at sex, or if you have a good sex partner or a great sex partner, you kind of don't want to lose them. You kind of want to hang on to them for a good minute. That's not something that you want to lose overnight or you want to lose at all. because pleasure for men and women are very different, right? But sexual satisfaction is very hard and tricky to come by. So, yeah, when you find something good, you just really don't want to give it up or let it go. You'd rather hang on to it for as long as humanly possible. And I think I find this also in relationships um, that are, open or more poly, things like that. When you're in a poly relationship, for the most part, it's about I think it's more open. I think they're more open, I think they're more honest, and I think they're more trustworthy because you're often communicating your thoughts, wants, and desires of another person, even though you're in a relationship with said person that you want to be with. So, rather than being in a monogamous relationship in which you're always on edge about someone else's feelings or how insecure one person or the other person is. I think that soon after a while, the communication dies out, and then here come the lies, the BS, the where were yous, the I text you, you didn't text me back, like things like that kind of like I want to say they're negative microaggressions that factor into a monogamous relationship in which you both aren't really getting what you want anymore. I mean, there's only the honeymoon phase, and the honeymoon phase dies. And after the honeymoon phase dies, what is there after that? So there's commitment, right? And then there's trust, and there's love, and then there's respect and things like that. But I do not think there's really any like honest and open communication, because I think what happens is like your positives start becoming negatives. A thing that attracted you now starts to repulse you. You're looking for something different. She may be looking for something different. But you're still in a relationship. You feel like you're trapped. You feel like you can't go outside and do anything. Well, not go outside and do anything or say anything, but when you say something, it always turns into an argument that goes nowhere. You've had the same arguments 5 or 6 times. The sex starts to decline, the romance start to decline. um you don't get the same excitement that you get, the same butterflies in your stomach that you get when you see your significant other. Things start turning from pleasurable to um unpleasurable, right? Um Things that you used to do for your significant other that was a privilege now seems like an obligation that you have to meet in order to keep up some facade. And nobody wants to be in that situation, but everyone has been in that situation. I'm no exception. So I think that relationships as we know them today are going to change and evolve into something that is going to work for more people, only because if you can keep communications open and be honest and be trustworthy and build trust between you and your partner, then, if you have some thoughts about somebody you'd like to maybe hook up with, then just know that hooking up is just going to include like physical sexual intercourse with someone, and then that's all it is. You open that door, you both go through it, you do what you need to do, and you walk back through that door together holding hands, and then it's just you and her, or her and you, or however the situation may play out. But I think that the mistakes that we make as people, whether no matter what the age is we think that we have it all figured out. We think that we're gonna obtain the most perfect relationship, and it's gonna be just us all the way. We'll talk through everything. We'll never look at anyone with a lustful eye. We'll never betray one another's trust or something like that. And this doesn't work out that way, not in the long run. Sure, there are some exceptions, but those exceptions do not make a new rule. So, I mean, as far as at least communicating your thoughts and ideas during the courting phase, I would say always keep the doors open and never close them, because once you start closing doors, it means that you're both trapped in this thing and there's no way out except for through one another. And that's just not the situation that you want to be in. So I would say, be open minded to that. Be wary of that. Don't think that what I'm telling you is, you in a relationship, you should need to get in a relationship and you both just need to expect to cheat on each other. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying is that monogamous relationships often are defined by, um, both people being so committed and wound up in each other at the beginning stage that it doesn't permeate through time. It just does it, not through all time. Um, Even in your long-term marriages that seem to survive a lot, that's kind of based on trust and communication, as well, and being open, right? I mean, I've seen relationships where marriages are all about bickering and fighting and over the dumbest stuff, but the two people love each other to death. They would, die for one another. So, we we want the perfect relationship, but it's never out there. You have to take, what you can get and make it, what you want it to be. Here's what I mean. I mean, I'll just take it personal. I like my girlfriend to be mine forever, to have her only desire me, but it's not going to work that way. I'd like to be able for her to have that security to say I only desire her and I only look at her and I only fantasize about her and just want sex with her and then that's it. No one else, no, just I can just ignore, millions of people in America and then billions of people across the world. And it doesn't work that way either, right? So the only thing you can do is really be open and honest on both ends and say, okay, so if we're feeling this way and we will feel this way, um, what should we do about it? Because walking away is is the easiest thing you can do, but always being honest, always communicating, and always being truthful is such a dedication, not from yourself, but to the other person that you're in a relationship with. So, that's the hard part. The hard part, is that, you can't lie anymore. You have to grow past your childish ways. And one of the childish things that we all do is lie in order to, not get in trouble or to not seem guilty. And you need to be in a relationship where you're done with all that. When you and your other person is done with all that, that way it doesn't matter what happens in the relationship. I know what's going on. She knows what's going on, and nobody is kept in the dark. So a whole bunch of movies that are about divorces or cheating or breaking up or affairs, as we call them, all of them are about, deception and betrayal. And it's about making your woman or making your man feel as if, hey, you're the only one for me, I love you, I can't live without you, I would never betray you, da 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 da. And they're all lies. And they're all lies because as soon as you walk out the door, there's a work husband or a work wife that you're reporting to each and every day. There's the boss you want to bang that wants to bang you, or some colleague, or some coworker, or some person at Starbucks, or some person at the restaurant you go to, or some person at the gym. And you just need to be real about it rather than just say, when I go out into the world, I'm not thinking about anybody else. Just you're on my mind, you're on my text, and this and that. I mean, one could be, I mean, both can be true, but the issue is we can't go around pretending that there's no one else that attracts our attention and there's no one else that we want to either shoot our shot with, sexually or anything along those lines. Because I go into the world every day and I have to, keep focused when I'm at the gym, or keep focused when I'm at Starbucks, or keep focused when I'm just going shopping, or whatever mandatory things I need to do, just to navigate throughout my day. So, I try and keep it as real as possible because I think that, in any type of relationship, especially in the racial one, you're already dealing with, the dynamics that, most people when you walk down the street don't like, the fact that you're with this person, and they, or vice versa. You walk down the street and people are looking at her talking about, what are you doing with this dude over here? So what you want to do is keep it open, the dialogue open, the conversation honest, the realness real, right? You don't want to deceive anybody, and you don't want to um, uh, sell dreams, right, that aren't real. What you want to do is just have a mature conversation about what to do when these situations happen. Because I'm not talking about you're gonna have this conversation where, well, I think about other people and sleeping with other people, so I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I mean, that's not what I'm talking about either. What I'm talking about is all of us have wants and desires, and some of us have opportunities that are thrown in our faces. And the hardest thing to for a man to do is say no. And but I mean, women can say no all the time because they're used to rejecting men left and right, because they've been getting proposition since God knows when, since you probably developed your womanly body parts. For men, it's not. It's different. It's different because we don't get offers like that. We don't get the attention that women do, right? Whether it be sexual or otherwise. We get the attention that we can be a provider, we can be a protector, but you know, being that guy that just good looking, Brad Pitt, Denzel, Idris, whoever you want to name, we don't have that kind of same sex appeal that women naturally have. So for us, it's more difficult because we have to pursue it to such an extent that that it's hard for us to just say no thank you to when a woman's kind of throwing it our way. I'd rather um, it be a conversation to be had between me and my significant other or my girlfriend, that, hey, this is going on, this is happening to me. What do you think about her? Does she look good? Um, and then I can say to myself, hey, if you don't want me to do this, just say it because you feel uncomfortable. And if it's uncomfortable for you, then it's uncomfortable for me. And then that's the end of the conversation. And then you can just keep it moving. Now, other opportunities may present themselves, right? But at least when you involve your significant other or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your spouse, at least they have an option to say no, or at least they have a sense of awareness to say, okay, I think at least they can tell you at the end of the day, this guy didn't deceive me. He didn't lie to me. He was honest with me. He did commitment with me, and I didn't have to worry about him doing anything behind my back, because I'd rather him do it in front of my face. If that makes sense. Not literally, but you know what I mean. And to have the wherewithal to have information, and to have a dialogue and a conversation with your spouse means that um, you have the potential to get married. If you can trust your partner to tell you everything that they're going through, like physically, emotionally, sexually, what have you, or even financially, what have you, I think that establishes a good foundation for a long term and a long lasting relationship that can turn into a marriage, and marriage usually turns into families. So in my community, sex positive, all that stuff, there are married couples and people in long-term relationships that play outside, right? They open up the market. They post a new post saying, "Hey, we're looking for a girl to join us. We're looking for a guy to join us." Or just stuff like that, and it translates into um, he knows, she knows I'm here. She knows I'm here doing this. He knows I'm here doing this. You're on our page, not just mine. And there are a lot of situations where um if they're in this doing this thing together, swinging, what is what they call it. If they're in this together, usually they walk through that door together and then they walk out of that door together. Usually, me being in this for, I don't know, well over 2 decades, um, it's hey, we're back. We've been gone for a while. We've been focused on us, or what have you. But or relationships that don't last because of one reason or another. Usually those relationships last longer than your typical monogamous relationships because the lies and the BS and the deception and the betrayal aren't there. Like you have I've been hearing lately about Adam 22 and his wife Lena, and then their situation. Right now, they're both adult actors in the adult film industry. So they're a part of a business model that has sexual intercourse with other people. First, it's I think them two, and then I think they started doing. She's bisexual, so I think what tends to happen is as Adam 22 is able to have sex with other women, and Lena's having sex with this woman too, and it's kind of a bonus for him, right? More than her. I mean, she's maybe getting hers too. She may be enjoying the act and the pleasure of having another woman too, but what she desired, I think, was another man, right? Another man, and then here comes, I think his name's Jason Love or what have you. And so here's what I think about that situation. Here's what I think about that situation because we are talking about a homogenous relationship or marriage. Actually, I think they're married. And we're talking about an interracial dynamic now. So now we're talking about a black dude who's hung, who knows what he's doing in the bedroom, who is about to get it on with a wife. She would be considered what we call a hot wife in the community, right? Hot wives have sex with other men with the permission of the husband. The husband actually knows. Um, so what the dynamic is there is this may be, I don't know if this is the first black dude she's ever been with. Maybe it's not the first black dude she's ever been with, but since she's married to Adam, I'm gonna say she hasn't had many experiences with black men. Maybe, perhaps, possibly. I don't know that. That's a question to be asked. But what I do believe is that the interracial dynamic of what has played out so far is right up my alley of expertise when we're talking about these women who've responded to my questions, right? Like why are the white women into black men? So I say, so what have you heard? What are the responses that we've heard? We've heard dick size. We've heard they know how to fuck better, or they know what they're doing. I feel protected. Da, 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 da. That's your chocolate skin. All kind of stuff, right? But it's always usually the sexual dynamic that's usually at play. And um and I think that so I was watching this interview. I think he was talking, it was a post interview. I think it was like a couple days after this incident happened, but he's talking with his wife, and Jason Love calls in, and they're having a kind of like a debriefing moment of, so what do you, I've been, I've been on these YouTube streets, and the word cuck has been throwing around lately, and this and that, and you know, i- and so I think he feels some kind of way about being labeled as a cuck when he's not, right? He simply agreed that his wife can have sex with another man for, business purposes or whatever purposes they have, right? I do think though it is not for his pleasure, but it's for her pleasure. And when you think about the dynamic that they have right now, is that they're out as a couple having sex with other women. So it seems to be okay when a man can have sex with other women in that relationship. But when it comes to another man having sex with your wife, it's a different type of dynamic altogether, right? Now all of a sudden you're gonna have feelings and you feel some kind of way about it because hey, it's your wife. But if she's enjoying herself and she found pleasure in it, and it's a good business model because it gets her name out there more, then I mean you can't ignore that either. But what I will say about it is I think what is severely underestimated is how things have changed, right? I think she was saying she felt it for 3 days straight or felt some kind of way about it. Maybe cervix was hurting. Maybe he rearranged organs. That tends to happen too. But I mean, what are you gonna say? But I think like to see this I just think it's so fascinating to see all of this in real time when we're on these YouTube streets. So, you know, I don't see Adam 22 as a cook because I actually know the actual meaning behind it, and I know what it implies, right? A lot of people don't. They throw the word around. They have no idea what the community is or never been a part of it. They're still trying to make monogamy work. They're still thinking um pie in the sky, Mr. Perfect, Mrs. Perfect, or something like that. They've never actually had to, negotiate. They never had to take an L and run with it. They've never had to consider or anything like that. Um, but it's kind of it's going to be. I'm going to tell you something. It's going to be one of the examples that we use in conversations when we're talking about what kind of relationship you want. Do you want the Adam and Lena relationship where they're both adult film actors, they're both able to have sex with women, um, and in comes Jason Love, this kind of guy, and she calls her husband, says, "Hey, this is happening. Do you have any objections? This and that." He says, "No, no objections at all. I'm good." They do it anyway, and then maybe he feels some kind of way about it. Now, I think that feeling. Okay, so I'll explain something about that feeling, right? That Adam 1222 is feeling because I felt it too. So what happens is that it's called the ICK. Um, the ick means that someone is engaging in sexual intercourse with your significant other that you significantly care about. This isn't some random hookup thing. This isn't a girl that you don't have strong feelings for. It's actually a girl that you care about and are married to, right? So the first time that somebody else is entering into her, you feel an ick. You are gonna feel some kind of way about it. You're not gonna have a smile on your face, while it's happening, or after it's happened. It takes you a while to psychologically get through it um, because men are very territorial. What's ours is ours, and we don't want anyone else playing with our toys. But when someone else does play with our toys, then we feel some kind of way about it. At least the first time, right? If it's a one-time deal, that there is something to be said for that. But if this is something that's going to become the new norm, um, the first ick, when you get past it, it takes a couple of days maybe, but once you're past it, then it's like, okay, you know what, as long as she is getting sexually satisfied by said man, um the ick disappears. Here's how I got past it. So before my girlfriend was set to play with another dude, I was in the mood, right? I was in the mood to get some. I'm like, you know what? We're sitting there, we're cuddling, we're just, just relaxing. And I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of in the mood. Like, I want to get some. So we go and we get ours in. I get mine in, right? And we do what we do. And I bust one, and then I'm good, right? I'm like, all my energy, all of that is good. So what happens then is, later on, an hour or two goes by or something like that, and she's all set up and ready to play with, said homeboy or whatever. And all of a sudden, the ick was gone. And the ick was gone because I've already got mine. He's only getting, um, I don't want to say I don't want to say sloppy seconds because that infers that she's sloppy or or whatever. But he didn't get the first crack. Like, I got mine with my girlfriend. I got the first crack. She's in the mood to do it again. All well and good. He's in the mood to do her. That's all well and good too. But when they're actually in the act, like, it's not like like It's disgusting for me. I can't even look at you right now. Da, 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 da. All of that fell by the wayside because I'm sitting there drained, nuts drained, and I'm all good. So I know I got mine. I ain't worried. So as James Brown would say, I got mine. I ain't worried about his. So I mean, these are the things that I'm not sure that he's had to go through before, but during the interview on his podcast that I was watching, it seems like I'm watching in real time what I went through not but a couple weeks ago. So anyway, there are some other relationships that probably follow that same dynamic, but we'll get into all of it, right? I mean, we'll go there and we'll explore it. We'll crack open this Pandora's box and see what comes out. But it's I mean, an hour goes by fast, doesn't it? But anyway, I appreciate you guys stopping by, listen to me rant and rave like a lunatic. I know it's dark in my room. The sun went down pretty fast. It was up earlier, so um, I mean, the only way you're able to see me is because my computer light has a white background. So I hope you forgive that. But anyway, I shall check you guys later. I hope you share the video and watch. And I mean, it's just an hour. So, while you're on your way driving across town to get to work or something, I hope you listen and comment, like, subscribe, share with your friends. Let them know I'm here for it all day. The stories, the feedback. Um, I think you can follow me on FetLife as well. I'm on there under the Black Mask. I'm the only Black Mask. Underscores in between the letters, please. If you're looking for me, and just drop me a line. Let me know what you think, and hit me up. See you guys when I see y'all.